So in this video, I am going to be showing you how to reinforce and cut a steek. A steek is just a bridge of stitches that you often see in stranded or fair isle knitting. So it allows you to continue to work in the round, which is easier when you're doing stranded colour work, even when you are inserting things like armhole openings or neck openings. So you would continue to work in the round and do the shaping by way of using a steek. In the case of this swatch here, this is actually a pocket swatch. So it's two pockets that I've knit in the round with two different steeks that I'll be cutting. And these will actually be the pockets for one of the designs in my Shetland Trader Book 3, which is coming out in October. And a steek can be anywhere from sort of 3 to 9 or 10 stitches in width. It really just depends on the pattern. Most of the ones in my book are going to be using a 9-stitch steek. So that means that the center stitch that gets cut is the 5th stitch in these vertical lines here. One thing to mention is that it is entirely possible to go ahead and just cut the steek without reinforcing it if you are using a good woolly yarn, like 100% Shetland wool, which is what this swatch is. And typically that's usually what I will do, is just go ahead and cut it without reinforcing. But sometimes we like a little bit of added security, and especially if you haven't done a steek before, it can be a little bit scary to go ahead and cut. So I'm going to be showing you how to do the crochet reinforcement for this steek. The other thing that I've done here that you can see is I've put in a kind of, well, a basting stitch, really. It's just a piece of scrap yarn in a contrast colour that I've run through the centre of that 5th stitch. And that will just kind of keep me on track as I'm picking up the legs that I need to for my crochet reinforcement. And that will just get pulled out afterwards. Okay, so to get set up for the crochet reinforcement, we attach the yarn to the cast on edge of the stitch to the left of the center stitch here. And usually you're going to use a crochet hook that is a size smaller than the needle, the knitting needle size that you used. So you're just going to go into the bottom from front to back of that cast on, and I'm going to use another non-superwash. This is just more Shetland yarn in a contrast colour. Once you've made the crochet reinforcement, the steek edges will kind of fold to the wrong side of the work, so you won't really see this contrast colour anyway. So first thing you do is you pull the loop through that cast on stitch, and then I'm going to wrap it around the crochet hook again and pull through once to secure it. So it's secured to the cast on stitch, which, as I said, sits just next to the center stitch. So we're going to be working up the left side first of all, and then we'll be working down the right side, because we crochet on both sides of this center stitch before we cut it. So I'm just going to rotate the work this way because it'll be more comfortable. And what we're aiming to do is pick up the right leg of this stitch sitting beside the center stitch and the left leg only of the center stitch. So you can see there, I've got one of the grey and one of the white on the needle there. And then you're going to wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through a loop. So now you've got 2 loops on your needle, and then you wrap it again, and you're going to pull this loop through both of those loops. So now you just have back to 1. So that's the first one done. And then you just continue in this manner, going up one stitch at a time, making sure you're catching the right leg of the 6th stitch in this case, and the left leg of the center stitch. So you can see that the basting stitch I put in, the contrast color, is just going to be keeping me on track really, to make sure that I'm picking up the right legs. So pull up a loop so that you have 2, wrap and pull through both of the legs. So we'll just keep doing this all the way up. Until we have the first side reinforced. Okay, so now I have put in the crochet reinforcement all the way up the left side of the center stitch. And to finish off at the top here, you're just going to do the same thing of picking up into the bind off edge, in this case, to secure the yarn. So make sure I'm using the right tail here. So you pick up to the left of your crochet there into the bind off edge, pick up a loop, draw it through. So you've got 2 on the needle, on the hook, sorry, and then pull another loop through both of those to secure. And then I'm just going to pull the tail through to secure. So that's that side finished, and then you'll basically just rotate the work and begin to pick up down this side, so that we just leave the very center of that stitch exposed for cutting. So I have joined the yarn the same way, secured it to the bind off edge in this case, for the second side. Secured it there first, and then I'm starting to pick up again a leg from the stitch that is to one side of the center stitch, and the remaining leg, which is the white yarn you can see there, of the center stitch. So there I've got one leg of each of those stitches, and just continuing to do the same thing as the first side. So I'll finish that off, show you what it looks like, and then we will do some cutting. Okay, so now I have both sides of my center reinforced with the crochet. And so that's just the basting stitch you're seeing there in between, which now I am just going to remove. So don't really need that to be in there when we cut. Okay, so that is gone. And then essentially what we're going to be doing is cutting those horizontal bars that you can see in between the blue crochet reinforcement up the center. So obviously you'll also be cutting the first cast on stitch as well. So just go slowly. I'm really just kind of doing it one stitch at a time here. And here is the fully cut edges. Have a look at it from this side. See, everything looks good. It's all secure. So these will probably naturally start to curl in already. So in this case, they'll be folding in like so, and as I said, these are going to be pockets that get attached on to the body of a tunic. So you can just whip stitch down the crochet edge to the wrong side of the work to keep it in place. And that's it.